December 29th, 1963. The town is Chicago. The two best football teams in the world meet in a deadline to glory.
That was the first game I ever went to. My uncles couldn't have picked a better game for me to go to.
No one has played middle linebacker better than Dick Butkus.
In my opinion, the greatest defensive football player that ever lived. Gale Sayers once asked me who was better, me or Peyton. I said, if I need one game, I want you. If I need a season, I'll take Walter. He says, that sounds fair. Changed the whole culture of the Chicago Bears. Enjoyed working with the guy, enjoyed being friends with the guy, and he's a legend.
You're 100% right, but you're a pain in the butt.
I actually cried when they won the Super Bowl. I couldn't believe it.
I just have one thing to say. We all have bragging rights over the whole goddamn country.
Lovie Smith was a heck of a coach. Now, he's not a Lovie Smith fan, but he made me a Lovie Smith fan. Matt Nagy sabotaged his career. Him and Trubisky had something good going. They made the playoffs twice in 4 years. He took his career, threw it in the dumpster, and now he's getting coffee for Andy Reid. I like the Bears for third place this year, but surprise us. 5 to 6 teams a year that make the playoffs are new teams that didn't make it the year before. Hopefully they'll be one of them.
Welcome, everyone, to the Mike North Advantage. My name is Aldo Gandia, and of course, with me is the man of the hour, Mike North. How are you, my friend?
I never felt better, my friend. You know why? Because I don't work for the Bears. That's why I never felt better. I've been through these days when I was in radio sometimes. You know, you get a bad ratings book every so often, and or you know, something happens where you said something you shouldn't have said, or, you know, you have that kind of stress in your life. But to be a Bear fan is a stress of 60-some years, ladies and gentlemen. And yet people say, is that a toupee? Because you feel like your hair right now. And I go, no, yeah. I go, yeah, sure it is. Look, let me pick it. It does look a little toupee-ish today. Okay? It does. Really, I should be. Oh, yeah, look out. So anyway, first of all, let's get off to brass tacks. The Bears suck. We all know it. They're not going to win for 5 years, period. You got 3 other teams better in your division. You got Detroit, who is superior to most of football, who's got to finally straighten out their front office after William Clay Ford died. Okay. Then the family, I think it's the daughter, restructured and brought in Chris Spielman and that whole crew who know football. Then you have Green Bay with Mark Murphy, okay, who is the president of the crew. And you got one of the best coaches in football in LaFleur. And also Detroit's got one of the best coaches in football who was laughed at when he first started. And then you got Minnesota, who's got a quarterback coach that's made Sam Darnold look good. And they said, listen, I did you a good favor. You're going to be gone next year. Okay? You're going to be gone next year. So we're going to bring in Danny Jones, and I'm going to turn him into another good quarterback. Okay? And then you got the Bears holding press conferences, firing head coaches, firing offensive coordinators, saying that the general manager, who's 14 and 32, is going to select, which I'm pretty happy with, because Poles will be gone in a couple of years then. He bought himself a couple more years. But I don't buy for 1 minute he'll only make the decision. And I heard that's what the press conference was on. Now, Aldo, I don't know. The press conference wasn't on TV. We don't have a TV outlet anymore in this one-horse town, which is Chicago has turned into, a one-horse town. I heard one of the radio stations didn't even carry the press conference. Okay,
that's correct.
That would have been a no-no. I heard the word, we would have carried that in a heartbeat back in the day. Okay, I'm sure ESPN 1000 carried it, and if they didn't, I mean, they're the flagship station. Okay, so people got a lot of baggage with themselves when it comes to the Chicago Bears. We can't even get an answer out of anybody. And then I think the Bears should probably have a town hall. I think they should. They've never reached out to the fans, ever. They should have a town hall where you have the hierarchy sit there, and they have the fans, and you listen to the fans. The Blackhawks have had it. The Cubs have it with their vests. The White Sox are going to have a fest this year. Okay. It's at a movie theater. Then they're going to show some cartoons on the screen afterwards. So I think they should have a town hall after all these many years and explain to everybody why they don't know what they're doing. I mean, I heard today, and I'm glad, once again, he's going to pick the coach, which means if that's your criteria, that means McCaskey's not going to have a say. That means Warren's not going to have a say. That means Virginia's not going to be able to go like this or like this. I understand she wasn't there again today. Okay, that's fine, you know. And all I'm saying is that the way that they handled this whole thing, you got a player yelling at a coach for 15 minutes in a locker room. How come we still don't know who the defensive coaches were last year? That whatever they did, they got fired for. But we can find out the next day that there was a tirade in the locker room. We find out who did it. We find out who masterminded it. That Jalen Johnson, who gave up a touchdown, also had a pass interference call in that game. But none of this is the player's fault. I want everybody to know that. It's Eberflus's fault and it's Waldron's fault until it's going to be somebody else's fault. That's just the way this group is. You got a guy, 14-32, who didn't build an offensive line in 3 years, hasn't built a defensive line in 3 years, is on his second quarterback. Okay, it's going to be going on to a coach that he didn't even have a hand in. Now he's going to have the main hand in, picking a new coach. There's just nonsense. Their defense sucks. And then you look at the players that he let go of. I don't care if you like them or not. They let go of Mitch. They let go of Rokon, who had 11 tackles. Hell, Mitch even got in, went 1 for 4 yards. Rokon Smith had 11 tackles. David Montgomery lost his mind. So we got Bears. Vic Fangio is the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. All the guys we lost, okay, are as doing as good, or maybe even as the guys that we kept. I mean, you know, I just look at this whole thing, and it's sort of like we don't know what we're doing. And I read what David Hall said. How do you continually do the same things, and yet you don't know how to handle crisis management? So they have egg all over their face. They're the joke of the league, and that's pretty tough when you have the Jets and the Giants involved. When you have the Jets and the Giants, worse than the Bears, but the Bears are the joke in the league. And Eberflus deserved to go. He deserved it. You froze. Mr. already says, I waved the white flag. This team will not. Well, I agree with you. We're not winning for a long time. Aldo and I may not see a Super Bowl from the Bears in our lifetimes. And I plan on living 25 more years. That's how serious I am about this. They are, division where the 3 teams above them are making the playoffs probably. Never happened before. So they're in a bad spot. But you know who's not in a bad spot, Aldo?
Who's that? That's right, brother.
They're in a good spot because it's Christmas and it's coming up. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be going over there and buying my wife something else. Oh, no, wait, she went out today. 847-765-3000, 3001 Barrington Road. Go see my guys over there. Go see Ryan Gams, the son of Brad Gams. I mean, these guys they're always there, cleaner than the Board of Health. You can see the sparkles. I mean, you drive off Barrington Road, you got to put sunglasses on because the sparkles from inside are just blinding you. That's it. It's so diamonds, rubies. I don't know if they have rubies, but rubies. Anything you want. So, there's not a real lot to talk about here. We are an inept organization. I just don't believe, and I don't believe Ryan Poles is going to make the lone decision, go, this is my guy, and they're going to go, okay. I don't believe that Warren will say okay first. I don't think McCaskey. I don't think Liz Geist. I don't think any of the people at the front office will allow Ryan Poles to say, I'm putting this in my pocket and I'm announcing it to everybody and nobody knows who I'm going to pick. So cut the bullshit. Okay? That's an infected front office. As bad as any in the league. As bad as I've ever seen. You take a first-year head coach. You take a first-year GM. and you put them with the Chicago Bears. How short-sighted. And now I'm hearing we're not going to do the search by committee thing. You shouldn't have done it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You have a football person up there like me, or like Aldo, or like 100 million other people in Chicago been watching you for years who are sharper than you. Ryan Poles, you want to sit down and talk football with me? Come on. You want to sit down and talk football with me? I'll make you dizzy. I'll make you dizzy. Don't think because you have a position. This is the mistake people make. Well, he must be smarter than these people because he's got a position. Only the dumbest of dumb would be making the moves that he's made. He's inept. And yet they're going to hand him the keys again, which I approve of, because that's the only way to get rid of him. Because they should have both gone together, like I said. Not one was 14 and 32. They're both 14 and 32. Period. And the nonsense that we're hearing, leaks here, leaks there. He didn't want him. He did want him. You picked him. And you let two outsiders, Ernie Accorsi, okay, and the Bill Polian, influence your organization. That's like somebody coming into my hot dog stand from another hot dog stand that's been retired saying, oh, you better switch these hot dogs for these hot dogs. And you better. No. If you don't have enough of a mind to do things on your own, okay, and you got to bring outsiders in, and then it says here, as of now, we may not bring in the search committee. That's not on the books. As of now, so that still could happen. They don't have enough faith in themselves to go out and look. Look, the best coach in the league, not working, is John Gruden, but he just got a job at Central Florida. There was no chance John Gruden was going to get. If they were going to go after the best coach, he wasn't going to pass the snuff up there, folks. Oh, no. Not with his baggage, and not with his lousy coaching the last 3-4 years. Everybody acts like John Gruden walks on water. He took over a team from Tony Dungy with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and led him to a Super Bowl. I looked at the last 4 or 5 years, and I looked at his comments on emails and stuff. There's no way he'd get a job with the Bears, but he's the best coach fucking available. I wouldn't hire him. But who's available? Who's available out there? Put your names down, folks. Tell me what coach you really want. Tell me what this genius Ryan Poles is supposed to be. Going through the books now. Going through the books. Cliff Kingsbury. You know what I'm saying? Now, my coaches, I want Cliff Kingsbury because he's got it. See, Thomas Brown, I have nothing against him. You put up 55 yards in the first half, and we're talking about you being the next head coach. And then Detroit took their foot off the pedal. They took their foot off the pedal. I'll tell you why. And they let Caleb come back. They played a little loosey-goosey, taking nothing against him. His passes were fantastic. But they didn't believe that he could do this. And they gave him a little space. And he did it. Okay. But they didn't close because they don't know how to win. Kansas City knows how to win. I keep hearing Mahomes is having a terrible year. I look at his stats. I go, okay. He's got almost 3,000 yards passing. He's got he's got a bunch of touchdowns, but he's got some interceptions. But I cannot believe I have people doubting Patrick Mahomes. These are the same people that think the Bears got a new coach. Bears got Ryan. I mean, I hear Bear people go, oh, Ryan Poles is a great move. You never seen him do anything. It was just to make a change. And changes have to be made again. He should have left with his buddy. And now he's in charge of making the next selection, even though it's been leaking out that Warren, and I don't believe everything on Twitter, in fact, 99% of it lately, from the Bear fans, that he, will make up the final change. I don't know what to believe, but here's what I'm going to say. The Bear favorability among fans is as low as Congress. It's as low as Congress. There's no favor. There's nobody. Oh, they'll pretend to be brave. Oh, now we're in charge. Yeah, now we're going to get it right. We'll have all the podcasters. Eberflus in charge alone. Poles in charge alone. Thank God. No. The cheerleading has to stop for poison. Quit going out there as podcasters or radio people and lie like you did all summer when I heard Williams was struggling. And you wouldn't see anything in the paper. And then the next day he throws 3 touchdowns. Tell the whole story up there. I mean, we still don't know what happened to those 2 defensive coaches from last year. Okay? But we know what happened 10 minutes after a game in the locker room with Jalen Johnson. They let leak out what they want to leak out, and they don't let leak out what they don't. I heard somebody the other day echo what I've been saying for 3 years. The football writers, beat writers are now the PR arm of the football teams. You will get nothing earth-shattering. You will not see one that says polls should go to today. You won't see it because then they're in trouble. You don't go to work every day in a place and then demand. Believe me, I've been there. I've been in places for one day and they give you the daggers. Aren't you the guy that says polls should be fired? But yeah. Okay. Next day you can't find your pest pass. They don't know where it's at. I'm just telling you. And that's the bottom line. So, Aldo, if you got, I know you got a lot of things to say. I'm not bent out of shape about it. I did consider leaving the Bears momentarily as a fan for about a year, putting them on suspension. But there's no way. I love the Bears. I mean, I'm a Bear fan. That's just it. But I'm a damn smart Bear fan. And I'm not some guy that said, let's start something and go down there and go, look at what a pass. That guy caught a pass against nobody. I mean, I love when they do the 7-on-7 drills and they just throw the pass. Oh, sharp. Enough of the nonsense. We stink. We suck. And here, I think the MVP of the Bears was Ben Johnson of the Lions. They had 194 yards rushing. And you know what he said? This is boring. We're too good. I want to show everybody my passing so I can get a job on and show everybody on national TV how Ben Johnson is the reason the Detroit Lions, you almost lost the game for him. You threw more passes than you ran. I'm here to tell everybody, if Ben Johnson didn't have an ego, a huge ego, and he just stuck to his game plan, they would have run for 300 yards. They had 194 in 2.5 quarters, for God's sake. And then all of a sudden, they're passing every down like they're behind. And I believe somebody sent out a tweet to me. If they would have lost by 20, the question is, would Eberflus still be there? Because he's gone because of the end, and deservedly so. But if they lose by 20, is he still there? Okay, I think he might still be there.
He was fired because of the blowback he and the organization received by the national media and, of course, the local media. And they were in the locker room. Kevin Warren and Ryan Post were in the locker room when the players expressed their frustration to Eberflus. And
I don't blame him in a way.
I don't blame him either.
I don't blame him, but I think after 5 minutes, you try to act, I try to get your professional beard on. But my God, they went for 15 minutes. They buried the guy. And I know this. Eberflus backed them up plenty of times when they screwed up.
Yes.
So I thought it was a little bit ungracious on their behalf. And then the Bears can't even call a press conference, right, to get rid of them. They were a joke, Albert. We're laughing. We are laughing because we've been through I have been through every scenario. But I can't believe the last time I froze like Eberflus did, my dad came home from the parent-teacher conference and opened my bedroom door. And I went, and that was that. That's the last time I ever froze like that. I went, the door opened. He said, you haven't been to school in 27 days. I went, just like Eberflus did. And here's another thing. Generational quarterback. Been playing the position since he was 5, 6, 7 years old. Every quarterback since I was a kid. Believe me, and that was years ago. I took a wagon wheel over to get fixed for my mother once, a big wagon wheel. I have known this forever. That when you have a press conference, you're supposed to have the plan in place. They went out there and embarrassed Eberflus badly by having him go out and say, I'm preparing for San Francisco. And then Warren says, well, we weren't sure at time what to do. These people are complete morons, folks, that are running one of 32 professional football teams in this country. They are unmatched except for the New York Jets front office. And the Jets haven't won for 9 straight losing seasons. 9. And this team's going the same way, in my opinion. I mean, the whole thing was a mess, and I don't blame everybody for being mad. The players, I don't blame them for being mad. Hell, if I saw something stupid that we did on the radio back in the day, I used to go in going, what are you guys doing? Why are we doing this? I'm not going to pretend I'm not a hothead, or I wouldn't have been mad like Jalen Johnson. Okay? So that's just the bottom line. I have no enthusiasm for what's going to happen. Everybody's now, the same people that have been saying this guy was the guy or this quarterback's the guy, are now going to list their head coaches that they want. And we're in week 13. And most of you fools thought they were going to. I mean, I cannot believe polls said in 2023, I just saw it, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to win the division. I just read it. How do you say something? Because you're young, stupid, and inexperienced. And you went up against 3 experienced football teams. And you're getting your head handed to you. You showed your immaturity by barking. You do too much talking. You did too much talking. We're going to run the North. We're going to win the North. We should win the division by 2023. You made a fool of yourself. And this will be your last act, I promise. Because you didn't even shop Caleb Williams. You said he's my guy, and that's fine. Okay? He's your guy. But you didn't bother to dangle him out there, and then you would have been saddled with Jaden Daniels or Drake May or Bo Nix, who, by the way, folks, never threw for 55 yards or 30 yards and a half as pros yet. We have a quarterback that had a great second half, but this Thomas Brown situation, you put up 40 yards in the first half. And you lose the game, you're 0-3. And you know what I got to hear? Thomas Brown should be the next head coach. They make Thomas Brown the next head coach, I'm gone. Because Thomas Brown deserves to be an offensive coordinator first out of this place. I'm saving you, Thomas. You want that Bear job? Head coach, you'll be there for 2 years. And if they believed in you all that much, they would have named you head coach already. You're interim. Bottom line is you don't put up 50 yards of offense in the first half, and then people start saying he should be our next coach. Do Bear fans have a clue anymore? He's a new guy. And you don't want another new guy. You don't want new guys with our quarterback. I love Thomas. Here's a good scenario. They decide to keep Thomas around, although I think he'll get offers. But he was with the Panthers last year and the Bears. Thomas, you got to work. I understand that. But last year, nothing worked with Carolina, and this year you haven't won. So there's going to be other people that are going to be available. I'm not taking you off the list. Believe me. If you get the job, I'll back you. And then I'll see Paul say goodbye in 2 years. That's my take.
Mike, I want to challenge you on the Caleb Williams take. A lot of people still believe he's a generational talent because of the off pattern throws, how he can fire it, and you've seen it. You've seen the positives.
Heck of a talent.
Peyton Manning was considered a generational talent too. Well, Caleb is going to have better statistics in his rookie year than Peyton Manning had. So don't you think you're being a little bit too premature in saying that Caleb is not generational?
I said they got 4 quarterbacks right now playing. If you're generational, your heads and tails above them. Peyton Manning, everybody knew was going to be great. But Peyton Manning didn't have DJ Moore, didn't have Keenan Allen. Peyton Manning didn't have Cole Kmet. If you remember those teams, they were absolutely dreadful. He was the first or the second pick for a reason. Okay? The Bears brought in, and this is why I don't know if Poles can draft. His strengths are free agents. I tend to believe, and the same goes for Troy Aikman. These guys are in the Hall of Fame. If you think Caleb Williams is going to be in the Hall of Fame, that's a possibility if he plays on better teams. If they surround him with better people. Peyton Manning threw a ton of interceptions. So did Troy Aikman. But then they made decisive moves to build around him. I come from a town, Aldo, that had the best football player of all time on defense and the best the best running back on offense. Gale Sayers and Dick Butkus. All they had to do was build around them. Their best year was their rookie year, 9-5. They ended up 1-13. It's the front office. It's not Caleb. It's the front office that makes the move. David Montgomery's gone. Roquan Smith's gone. I heard you. I know you do this on behalf of me, but Adrian Amos, and this will start coming out.
The Kirk Cousins thing?
Oh, Adrian, no, I got one better. Adrian Amos comes back and he says, I felt like a sigh of relief. I thought it was just me. Adrian Amos should have said, and he did say, why did they break up 2018's team? What he should have said is, why didn't they break up 2018 and 2020's team? And then, of course, Aldo knows he's typing this to me, even though he's typing it to even Trubisky.
No, what I said was, you don't mean Trubisky too.
And 6 years later, we're trying to find a quarterback to do what he did. You know what's amazing about Mitch? Regardless of how you feel about him, he only played 12 games his first year, and the second year went 11-3. I'm sorry. You can say whatever you want. Is Caleb Williams going to go 11-3 next year? I don't think so. And he's got a pretty good team. But what they did, and I just every Bear I saw yesterday, ex-Bear, Fangio, Trubisky, Montgomery, Roquan, and they traded Greg Olson, Aldo. They traded Greg Olson, this organization. It's not Poles. It's not Warren. It's been them all. It's been steady since Ditka left. They got rid of 3 coaches. Okay. And I'm with Amos on this. Nagy was a moron. Nagy would rather be an assistant, okay, and make his extra couple million a year than run his own football team, and he was 34-33. He had a winning record. Harbaugh had a winning record. I mean, not Harbaugh. Ditka had a winning record, and Lovey had a winning record. And they got rid of Lovey Smith at 10-6. Yet we get rid of Eberflus with a new quarterback after 8 games. The kid's a new quarterback. He's green. And I heard Tom Brady, what a fantastic job he did against Dallas. He says he knows how to cut somebody down without doing it. He goes, well, these 2 one was Drew Lock. Okay. Just horrible. The whole game was horrible. Dallas and the Giants. And he goes, well, with these 2 quarterbacks, you know that it's all about turnover ratio. And the leading stat for any quarterback. I mean, I learned so much under Brady. I learned more than I learned under Romo for 3 years, under any of these guys. He goes, the number one stat a quarterback doesn't want is turnovers. You're going to lose games. That's why these 2 guys, he says, don't start. And they were scared to death when he was out there. I saw Cousins the other night throw 2 passes right to the other team. He's afraid of his Achilles. Rodgers is afraid of his Achilles. Okay? I think the signing quarterbacks to big money deals after they suffer ripped Achilles tendons might be over if you have 2 of the best that look like they can play, right?
I totally agree. Yeah.
But I will say this about Cousins. You waited because he threw 4 in one day. Or yesterday. Yeah. And I got a kick out of it. And then I said, basically, I said, there's more going to be coming out. There's more Bears going to be coming out of the woodwork. Ex-Bears, you're hearing them chirp now. The organization. You don't hear people that are still in the league say too much, okay? Because they want to stay in the league. You start cutting up organizations, you're going to screw yourself. And that's just it. That's what I got. I mean, it's a soap opera with the Bears. It's not actual football. What I'd like to see them say is, we have one thing in mind. We have too many distractions here. We have women's advisory boards. We have flag football teams. We have human resources. We have Liz Geist jumping in. We have this guy giving polls. We want to go to the Super Bowl. And George McCaskey is following me on Twitter now, which I was surprised to see. And somebody said, that's not really him. No, it's really him. So I think Bear fans are incumbent on being sensible and teaching the man the game. Okay. I'm going to tweet out something to him every day. Okay. And I'm going to tell him, George, here's what you should do. Okay. Or here's what you shouldn't do. Because I addressed him today. I love that he's following me. The best McCaskey is Brian McCaskey. People don't realize, if I saw Brian McCaskey, one of the sons, tomorrow, we'd shake hands and hug. We were like this. But he wasn't chosen to run the football team, and I can promise you this. I know. He's more knowledgeable than any of the McCaskies. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that. I talked to him all my years with the Score. We had shared some drinks together, but he's in sports medicine now. But he should have been one of the guys that was involved. Not Michael, not George. I'm glad that George is following me on Twitter now. Somebody says, well, somebody's running his account. Well, he's not having a Twitter handle, and Eldo knows this, unless he's going to read some of this stuff. I think that putting his name out there today, Eldo, is pretty, it's like, wait, maybe I should get some other opinions. You know what I mean? Because their fans are smart. When we want to be smart, we're smart, man. And I say this with the Chicago Bears, with all my love. I made millions because of you guys, because of the Bears, not because of the Bulls. The Bulls, nobody cares. Nobody cares about them. Not because of hockey. They weren't even on TV. Not because of the White Sox or the Cubs. They're a roller coaster. The Chicago Bears. So please continue on with whatever you're doing. It doesn't affect us, because what I do is shut off the TV now. I know there's 12-year-old kids crying, at home. Why can't we win a game? And Eberflus had to go. I just don't like them keeping the general manager who put the team together.
Mike, I would double check on that McCaskey Twitter account, because
double check on that.
There's 6 of them out there, and none of them have more than a few thousand. And so,
how about he just started it. So how many? Yeah, you'd think if George McCaskey, he wouldn't announce it, but you'd think if he started something and it was announced, you'd get a ton of people. So yeah, check on that.
I will.
I'm gonna pretend it's him. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. We got comments and questions I'd love for you to respond on. Tim, earlier when you were talking about KC, Tim was saying that KC does know how to win, but Poles and Nagy both came from KC. So what is the disconnect? You pick guys from winning organizations like Poles and Nagy. What is the disconnect? How come they can't win here?
Because they didn't run the organizations. That's the thing. I mean, they can watch. I mean, they do things for them. But Bill Polian decided to. One was with Indy. Poles and Eberflus were with Indy. But you see a lot of coaches get jobs that are supposed to be the next big thing, or a lot of people get front offices that are not supposed to be the next big thing. All I'm saying is I'm watching them, and they look like they've never done it before. And Eberflus looked like he never was a head coach before, and guess what? They weren't. I would like to see the Bears go get an experienced head coach. Now, I said Dion, and what I told Greg Braggs, I said it today, and what I told Greg Braggs was absolutely true. Somebody said, oh, we'll never get him. See? That's the Bear mentality. That's the Bear fan mentality. That's what I was trying to tell Greg last week. Oh, we should go get Thomas Brown. You want Thomas Brown because you can't get Belichick. You can't get Kingsbury. Maybe you can get Cliff Kingsbury. I want a coach that has coached before. That's Kingsbury. I want a guy that taught Patrick Mahomes and also has an association with Caleb Williams. That's Kingsbury. And I think I would love Dion. I wanted Harbaugh. They didn't even put a call into him. They made a lot of mistakes. And when you make this many mistakes and you still got a job, that tells you it's still a flawed franchise.
Interesting. Got more thoughts?
I love more.
A lot of people are suggesting Mike Vrabel, the former head coach of the Tennessee Titans, played under Bill Belichick. He took the Titans to 2 playoffs in 4 seasons that he coached there. They're suggesting Vrabel because he's got that big personality. What do you think about him?
I have nothing against him. He made Ryan Tannehill presentable. He made him a good quarterback. or whoever his coordinator is. If you bring Vrabel, you got to let him bring his own coaches in. Listen, you can have the job. Keep Thomas Brown on offense and keep the secondary guy on defense. No. You sweep them all out if that's what he wants. If he says, you know what, I can take Thomas as my offensive coordinator, that strengthens his hand. Because now he's in charge. He's good on time management. He's good on building a football team. He's a New England Patriot that was a winner. He won at Tennessee. And they still miss him there, by the way. Okay? Yep. No, they miss him there. So he's available. Kingsbury's available. Thomas Brown is a long shot. He hasn't done enough, in my opinion, that first half to me. I mean, we couldn't get a stop on defense. And when we did, and then we couldn't get past 3 downs three times in a row. And Waldron's strength, the last couple games was his scripted plays. And the Bears couldn't get nothing generated, but then we understand who they're playing. They're playing one of the great teams in football. And then that Natson, the leader of men. I heard you laughing, I think. I couldn't believe they said that. Because they're around women up there so much, they don't know that it's a men's game. My God. I looked at the Bears front office today. I go, geez. Chris Spielman versus Lee Geist. Where are we going? Wow. My God. Mark Murphy versus the executive vice president of Impact. I don't want to just be an executive vice president. I want to be Impact. And then you got Warren. Kevin Warren? I haven't even gotten to him yet. We've been on the air 35 minutes already. What a joke he is. What a joke he is. Here's a guy that shows up in an orange tie at events. I mean, Portillo's buys land. And you know what they do with that land? They know about the tax situation already. They know about the site. They know the plan. And they build. They don't buy something for 2 years, let it lay, argue with the village about taxes, and then go back to a mayor in Chicago who's going to be voted out so quick by the time they get this thing together that maybe I might run and I'll have control of where the Bears are going to go. How's that? My God. I mean, only a guy that's not familiar with Chicago would say, I'm going back to Soldier Field, which nobody wants him to be, and I'm going to do deals with Brandon Johnson when you got an area at 53 that's bigger than SoFi. I watched SoFi the other night. I watched it at night, the night game, and they show him coming down. They show like a drone, right? Yeah. We have more land than they do, and yet we're playing around. So this whole thing's been a debacle. Warren hasn't done what he said he was going to do. After 2 years, he hired a COO. Yeah, you're going to run the stadium now. What have you been doing for 2 years? There are a bunch of clowns over there right now. That's all you can say, folks. They have a bad record, and I just hope they don't ruin this Caleb Williams, and I don't think they will because he came back in the third quarter. Okay. The problem is, Caleb, you're down 21. So you could get it in garbage time. That's what it basically was. But I'm not going to condemn you for fighting and trying to win. I just want those 21 put up in the first half. That's all. You'll get it. You've only been up. See, Eberflus inherited a quarterback who was new, and that was tough. That was tough. But and then you see I didn't even mention Justin Fields with the other guys. He came in yesterday. They just needed him for one play, Pittsburgh. He got the first down, put the game away. Goes 4-2, can't pass to save his life. But I'll tell you this, when you go 20 for 39, you have accuracy problems too. And that's what Caleb Williams did. Because Aldo knows this. Because Aldo likes it. He's more of a positive guy than me. But I know this. About 7 of those passes were overthrows or in the ground or behind. And he's got to get better at that. But my God. Oh, and then this is the best. You notice they wouldn't tell you whose record they broke? He broke for the touchdown passes?
Because it's probably Doug, what's his name from the 30s?
Charlie O'Rourke. Wait a minute.
That's him.
So I go, why aren't these guys telling us whose record they break? Why aren't they telling me whose record he's breaking? And finally, I looked it up because they weren't going to tell me because they were too embarrassed. Arnold O'Rourke, 1942. The rookie touchdown record was 11, set in 1942. Here's the funny part. It took him only 88 passes to throw 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He was Sid Luckman's backup, and he threw 11 touchdowns and 88 passes. Caleb got 340 passes, and he just did. How did they do that? Because here's what else he did. He threw 16 interceptions. That same year, in 88 passes, he completed 37 passes out of 88, right?
Yeah.
11 were for touchdowns, and 16 were for interceptions. Think about that. 27 of those passes resulted in one of those two things. He only had 10 completions, which maybe gained 10 yards. So now we finally break it, literally 80 years ago. We have records, the rookie record held since 1942. My God, what an enough franchise.
Mike, while we're on the subject of Bears history, Mr. Shorty had a question earlier.
I love Mr. Shorty.
He says, tell us about Muggs Halas and what could have been had he lived and maintained control of the team.
We would have won it all a couple times. We would have had two, 3 Super Bowls. He had already put everything together with the 85 team. He went out and got things. He used to talk to his dad, him and Papa Bear. Who should we get, son? I don't think George Halas made the Finks move on his own. I think Muggs was sharper than hell. And I think that Muggs had that golden touch. He learned from the old man. He wasn't as cheap as the old man. He went out and got the best players available. But then he dies. And from what I hear, there's a guy on Twitter that thinks that, I'm not going to mention, that thinks they let him die on purpose, that he had a heart attack. And I mean, he makes it sound like the paramedics came with one finger and tried to resuscitate him like this. That's it. And the McCaffrey family was going, that's it. Keep it going. Yeah, that's better. You're putting a lot more pressure on it. And then the rest is history. But that's what the rumors are going around now. But I don't care. But that was a long time ago. There was no autopsy from what I understand. And he was buried that day or a couple days later. So
wow.
What could have been, that is a positive.
Before we move on, I have one
I
question.
love it when you say that. Give me a warning.
Thomas Brown, what does he have to show you to give him a boost in terms of prioritizing who should be the Bears' next head coach? What does he have to do over these next 5 games?
3 out of 5. And
win 3 out of 5?
And put up points. Then he's got my attention. I didn't say he's out of it because these guys are stupid enough to hire him. They're stupid enough to hire him with the likes of Belichick walking around and a lot of other good coaches. Okay. I agree with Scottish Bear. That would have been like the Rooneys. That's right. I saw your thing. Your God blessed right. But I have nothing against Thomas. They look better with him than with Walter. But he was his assistant. And he was with Carolina last year. And he was in charge of helping develop their quarterback. And their quarterback's better without him this year. He's better. They were gonna kick him out of the league. So I'm not gonna, and it took him time to adjust. But now Byron Young is doing pretty good with Carolina. So he's got a chance to stay. I'm not blaming him for anything. I will not blame Thomas Brown for anything. He's doing the best he can, and I will not crap on a guy that should be an offensive coordinator first. If he jumps to the Bears now, they're going to lose for the next 2-3 years, and his career could be over. I'd rather see him become an offensive coordinator, get out of here, unless they offer him the job here, and go somewhere else. And then I think 5 years could be a head coach. He goes to the Bears and gets that quick fix head coach. He'll be like Eberflus, because Eberflus is never coaching again, never being a head coach again. He will never be a head coach in the National Football League again.
College, right? Maybe college.
Maybe. Wannstedt was able to do that. Okay, at 4-12 and 4-12. But Wannstedt didn't go like this. When there was like 15 seconds left. Damn it! Wait. And then you got the quarterback who has no sense of urgency. Here's a guy that's been playing since he was 9 years old. When I was a kid, I learned this. Every quarterback that gets sick with less than 30 seconds left jumps up and goes, timeout, timeout. Instead, he's doing the Rickles routine. 22 blue, 22 blue. We got 10 seconds. 5, come on now. 22, 42. Oh, my God. Well, the whole thing's a debacle.
I'll say this. I think Caleb is going to be a very good quarterback. But the one thing that does worry me is that it appears, but maybe even bigger than that, is that it appears that on the big stage, he does freak out a little bit. When he went to Washington, that how he played the first 3 quarters in Washington told me this guy is nervous about being compared to Jaden Daniels, nervous about going back home and playing again in front of family and friends. And then we saw that same stuff at USC, the big game against Notre Dame, nationally televised that night. And he
looked like a deer in headlights.
Yes. So I hope that he corrects that. And the only way he's going to correct it is by having a head coach and an offensive coordinator that's going to teach him and inspire him and give him the confidence he needs.
Yet I'm hearing, how about Lincoln Riley? Well, they suck this year, USC.
Yes.
So first of all, look at that. Oh, wait a minute. Lincoln Riley didn't teach him to call timeout? Lincoln Riley, didn't teach him to call timeout with time running down? I got to listen to excuses for one of 32 starting quarterbacks that with the clock running down? I'm sorry. He's as bad. I think Eberflus wanted a play called faster. I think the miscommunication was there. And let me ask you about Thomas Brown one more thing.
Sure.
Where was he? Why wasn't he screaming, call timeout, call timeout? I mean, this is a coaching breakdown. And Waldron was on the field. If Thomas Brown would have been next to him, you think he says something?
Thomas actually apologized for that at the press conference.
The second time because he didn't know what happened the week before with the 2-point conversion. This is a head coach. Twice now he's saying, I didn't know what happened, right? Did he apologize? The 2-point conversion. Remember when people were going, why aren't you kicking the field goal?
Well, that was the special teams coordinator, Richard.
Right, and he said Hightower said it, but he says we didn't have communication. That's right.
Right, that was right.
But you see my point. None of these guys are connecting.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Did anybody say anything? I mean, it's bad.
And if he's got to correct it quickly because he's got 5 games to gain the entire team's support. And if he doesn't, then they're going to look out of house and really favor somebody out of house. I agree.
You know this, and it's no little thing. And this made me madder than anything in that game when he ran into the crowd and left his team and laid with his mother and cried.
Mm-hmm. Caleb,
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. You're talking a leader of men or a head coach? You don't want your quarterback in the stands crying on his mama's shoulder.
Yeah, but that wasn't Thomas Brown at all.
No, that was Caleb.
Oh, that was
when we talk about leader of men, is a guy that chokes in or gags in the big game, goes up and cries in his mother's arm, leaves his team after a devastating loss. That was bothersome, but it was glossed over. But that's something that if you're looking at a quarterback and you want a leader of men, the field general doesn't run. Okay? And that's exactly what he did that night. That was about as bad a night as you get. I don't need to watch a lot of games, but even you and I talked about it on Barroom the next day, Aldo. Mm-hmm. We said, 2 days later or something. Boy, it's weird, But they stuck with him. We'll see what happens. And he's been zipping the ball. Okay, but the first half was unacceptable. Good half, bad half. I think he's got to put 2 good halves together. And I think if Thomas Brown wants this job, Aldo, they're going to be walking into the same thing they did before. Why do they always have a first-year head coach? Because he's not really, he's an intern coach now. He's got a little experience, but he's not even a
Michael. Mike North, how are you, my friend? With 10 minutes to go, the show has frozen. At least I'm home. There he is. Okay, I'm back.
Now you're froze.
Yeah. How am I moving now?
Better.
Okay.
You have a couple of weeks. Like you're looking good. All right. So we ate up most of the show.
That's right. You want to get straight to your picks for tonight?
No, we got 10 minutes. Let's get to the next one.
Let's get to the next
Say
one.
what?
All right. We talked about a lot of this. I said we should have a town hall.
Yes. Great idea.
Yeah.
People love it.
We talked about Fazio, Trubisky, Amos, the no lines, short players, Liz Geist, whoever I know her brothers, by the way. Bobby and Bill. I think it's Bobby and Billy. Played ball with them. Giants, Jets, suck. By the way,
yes.
Aaron Rodgers is in line to make $50 million, and he says he actually thinks he's coming back next year. That's a funny one.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, one minor. It's not. This planting of the flag stuff.
Yeah. What do you think?
Garbage. You are the defending champions. You are supposed to be the epitome of excellence. I didn't mind the original intent to plant the flag at first. But then when it got calmed down, number 8 of Michigan tried to do it again. And I'm sorry. I know people that if you pulled a Trump sign or a Harris Waltz sign out of there, these same people, they're saying, oh, come on, be cool. If you pulled a campaign sign out of their yard, they'd come after you. But they're saying, hey, be cool. No. Lack of class, lack of graciousness. And Mike Golick Jr. said that, why are you starting World War III over that? So am I inclined to believe Mike Golick Jr. that after Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, if they put the Northern Illinois flag, and put it on the 50-yard line, that you would just stand there? Somebody said Michigan State did that to Notre Dame 3 years ago, and Notre Dame did nothing. Shame on them. But Mike Golick apparently. So if I took a Mike Greenberg flag and put it in Mike Golick Sr.'s lawn, okay? Right? You guys are just going to wave and say, grow up? Huh? Huh? See, until you learn to put yourself in other people's shoes, you're not going to really know what it's like, okay? You're not going to know what it's like. But for you to say you went to the University of Notre Dame, and I go directly to him. I said, so you'd stand there if Northern Illinois didn't flag it. And I haven't gotten an answer. Because he didn't put himself in their shoes. You don't go to Ohio State and start crap. That's a football factory, and they suck because of their coach. Somebody suggested Ryan Day to the Bears. Oh, my God. He looks like an explorer. I don't want a coach that looks like an explorer. Okay? All right.
By the way, Mike, that was the funniest thing I have ever heard on radio, podcast, or whatever. Your example of taking the Greenberg flag.
Take Mike Greenberg's flag, put it in Mike Golick Sr.'s lawn, and you guys are just going to stand there and say, we're mature. Right? I mean, give me a break. Give me a break.
Beyond awesome.
Anything goes.
Oh, wonderful. What do you got on Anything Goes?
We're going to do our scoreboard, which is a favorite of mine because I watch all the games. We got about 7 minutes left. Watch this kid put it. Let me get the scores up. NFL scoreboard, ESPN.com.
That black box, man, is really handy, huh?
When you make the dough, you can pay the extra $10. Come on. All right, here we go. See, Aldo and I have laughed through most of this because we get to. Here's what I do know. If Aldo and I were on Friday, this would have been a much different show.
Oh, yes.
There would have been shit turned over. I went, get out of here to the wife.
I would have been burning a Bears flag.
Oh my! Well, you were losing your mind anyway. You lost your mind on the videos. I know where you're at.
Yes.
This is cool, Aldo. I'm the cool guy, Don Dion. I see you. You look like you. I don't know if you had your plans. They were fogged up. You're ready to go.
Indeed.
He goes, "What team is that? A fight scene?" I go, "No, it's Aldo." All right, here we go. Lions 23, Bears 20. Not good. Cowboys 27, Giants 20. Brian Daboll, he's coming back next year in their general manager. I heard, so that's why tweeting's full of shit. Some guy said 2 weeks ago he was going to be gone. It looks like he's coming back. Maybe that could change because the Bears were saying Eberflus was fine up until last week. But Eberflus put the nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
That was his nail.
Yes, it was.
Yep. Packers and Caleb, I know has. I would have. Caleb takes responsibility. He says he's not playing all that good either. So at least he's one of the realistic guys, but he's playing better than most Bear quarterbacks. I still have high hopes for him.
Good.
Still have high hopes for him. I'm not going to be like some people. Look back 6-7 years and say, "You saw it." The Packers.
He's referring to me.
I know. Packers 30. Packers 30. Dolphins 17. The Green Bay Packers are bona fide, folks. The Dolphins had won 3 in a row, and they were playing outstanding football. And then all of a sudden, they go to Green Bay. And I'll tell you this: hot weather players don't like the cold.
They don't.
The Chiefs 19, Raiders 17. Oh, I got one for you. Oh, this is great. Ryan Clark says that Lamar, go out there and show them tonight what you're the best player in the game. He wears RC on his suit. Have you seen that?
I have.
Which means real clueless, okay? Because Patrick Mahomes is the best football player in the world. You want to put your boy just got his head handed to him. Okay? They're not going anywhere. He's not a big game player. You should have known that. You get paid a lot of money. And to put out a statement like that, when Patrick Mahomes is in the league, I don't care what Patrick Mahomes' stats are. You like stat stuffers. You would have liked Jay Cutler. Okay? You would have liked Dan Fouts. I like a guy that wins every game. I like a guy that gets in the Super Bowl every year. So, real clueless Clark, keep wearing that RC because it doesn't mean Ryan to me, period. You're shitting on Mahomes? People have lost their minds. I don't know if these guys say it just to get a rise out of people, but how do you say that anybody is the best? I don't care. He's having an off year, which would be a great year for other people. He's, be a great year. And their team's not the same. They've lost some players, but Baltimore. I'm going to ask Eldo this, and then Baltimore. Do you agree? Would trade Lamar Jackson for Patrick Mahomes tomorrow?
Patrick Mahomes is my favorite quarterback in the NFL now, and one of my favorites of all time.
You can put me and Eldo on the field. Me and Carmen DeFalco. Here's your tight ends, Eldo. And you got Carmen and Mike as split. They were good when they were 30. Mike's 72 now. I'll try to get him the ball. That's Patrick Mahomes. We'll try to win. We need more players. We need this. We need that. I mean, look at the team he's on. And he's winning every game. And that team with any other quarterbacks got 4 or 5 losses, folks. All right.
Hey, by the way, do you think that Mahomes is Mahomes if he's on another team?
No. I think if he's on the Bears, he's out of the league.
I hear you.
I'm sorry. I can't lie. I can't lie. I mean, I think Mahomes, well, look at Pittsburgh. If he's on Pittsburgh, he is. If he's on, Pittsburgh just keeps winning. Oh, and another thing, my friend, Mr. Subtle Shot. I did come back at Eldo after he made his cousin's comparison. And who did I come up with? See, I always give you things in truth. I always say, well, I'd either like Dion or I'd like this other coach, Harbaugh. Or I'd rather have Cousins or Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
My favorite role player, as Eldo's heard me say. And what's he doing now? You know what? Why are they sitting Fields? Tomlin doesn't know what he's talking about. They won like 5 in a row.
So let me ask you this.
How about this? If Tomlin was the coach of the Bears, you think they'd be better?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. what do you think about giving a new contract to Russell Wilson? Because he'll probably want something like Cousins, Scott. He'll want 2 or 3 years at 100 to 170 million. Would you do that?
Well, Sean Payton didn't like him, and he got 39 million, so they got rid of him, and Russell got it in the moon because Sean Payton disparaged him and made him look like a hobo, a Super Bowl quarterback. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Sean, you had 1-2, Drew Brees. They're both the same guys. They both won 1. I would like to see a 2-year deal with a team option at the 3rd. I think they're going to do it. Keep Justin, because they needed a big play last night. They didn't want to put Russell Wilson through the abuse. Justin did the fake handoff and ran around then. It was beautiful. He's set for life. If he keeps his mouth shut, and he will, he's a class kid. It seems like he'll keep his. The Bears would have as many wins with him this year. That's where Eldo's right. I'm sorry, folks, and they'd have a better offense at times than him. But his problem was he could never come from behind, like Caleb is. Caleb shows that he can come from behind and almost win football games. Chargers 17, Falcons 13. Cousins hurt. Herbert did okay. That's what Jim Harbaugh does. It's not pretty. We just win. Steelers 44, Bengals 38. If I was to tell Eldo Gandia that the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals had like 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, over 3,000 yards, wouldn't you think the Bengals record would be like 9-2? But no, the Bengals have no defense. They gave up 44 points. They're 4-8. And by the way, Burrows has no line. He got sacked yesterday. He just keeps up and keeps his mouth shut and tries to win. That's what we want to see. He's a superstar. But he's a superstar at a bad football team right now. Vikings 23, Cardinals 22. Good ball game. What's his name? Darnold's having a tremendous year. Colts 25, Patriots 24. You know, another game. There's so many average teams in the NFL right now, and just so many few great teams in the NFL right now. That's a nothing game. One team is 6-7 now. The other team is 3-10. Seahawks beat the Jets 26-21. After the Deshaun Watson contract with Cleveland, the Aaron Rodgers contract of $150 million for 3 years is the worst contract in NFL history, easily. For the age he was, for the injury he had, and for the BS that he threw at Green Bay. It's great to see Green Bay. I never thought I'd say this, winning without his tired ass, because he did more to drag down that football team the last 4 or 5 years by chirping all the time than anybody else. Okay? And every time, I don't watch Pat McAfee that often, but get your lips off his ass, okay? The guy's finished. All right? Jesus Christ.
Love it.
Man, hey. No kidding.
Don't they have an air conditioner on in his studio? How could you do that?
The guy's outdoors.
I know.
He's like this. He listens to a guy talk like this.
That's hilarious.
He just doesn't practices doing different poses on his... Look at the guns. 72.
Man,
you don't want me. Well, no, I don't want you. I'm serious. Anyway.
That was awesome. Nice guns.
I mean, I don't play. I've stood up to Michael Strahan and prayed while I was standing up.
Good
Commanders 42, Titans 19. Jaden Daniels, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Just moves the ball.
Heck of a guy.
Yeah. Someday we may be talking about him. Did we pick the wrong guy? That's a possibility. We don't know.
Absolutely.
Yep. Texans 23, Jaguars 20. Cheap shot, but he didn't mean it. I know they're going to try to make the Muslim connection with the Christian guy. These people are out of their minds. The kid's supposed to be one of the nicest kids around, and he's a kid that practices the Muslim faith, right?
Yeah, he does. Do you think that Trevor Lawrence was too late to slide? Because that's a big topic of discussion now, that the quarterbacks are taking advantage of the rule and waiting too long to.
I tell you that. I think that had some play. I saw a play Saturday. The running back lowered his head as the tackler was making a tackle. I want to know what the tackler is supposed to do when helmets collide.
Absolutely right.
And how do you call a penalty on that guy in targeting? How do you do that? And I'll tell you another rule, and I would probably take a penalty for this. Mahomes likes to run up the sidelines, okay, and pretend he's going out of bounds and fake it, and then he stays in. I'd blast him. I would blast him if he does that to me. I don't care who he is. They're like you said, Aldo, they're trying to take advantage of the rule, and he'll gain that extra 5 yards when he pretends he's running out of bounds. Okay.
Yep.
No way. Rams 21, Saints 14. Sean McVay. You know what I want to see the Bears head coach do? I want him to be the offensive coordinator too, because for once in my life, just once, I want to see a coach go like this, just calling the plays that's a head coach. We've never had that.
I know.
Andy Reid. Yeah. Everybody does this. You know what that guy does? He freezes. All right, wait a minute. Buccaneers 26, Panthers 23. Baker Mayfield. Play for me any day of the week.
Yep.
Play for me any day. And Panthers are coming around under Coach Canellis, no relation to Lou. And then we have Eagles 24, Ravens 19. Lamar Jackson's a regular season hero. He's the new Aaron Rodgers. He'll win multiple MVPs. Only Rodgers went to 1 Super Bowl. This kid may go to none.
Yeah.
Now, Rodgers and Jackson are the only 2 quarterbacks or players in history, that have been drafted, okay, have won multiple MVPs, but only been to 1 Super Bowl or none. Every other quarterback that is drafted high, like Eli Manning, 2 Super Bowls, Joe Montana, guys in the hall, guys that are going to end up in the hall, they're all in, except Lamar Jackson's got to get that weight off his back. He's got to win at least one. 49ers and the Bills, 35-10. It's just Josh. Here's what I think. Josh Allen is the MVP right now. Okay. And it looks like he may win the MVP. He's just a monster of a football player. He weighs, I'll give you a perfect example. He weighs 45 pounds more than Caleb Williams.
Ooh, wow.
Caleb weighs 215.
Yeah.
I think Allen's 245 or 250 if you look it up.
Yeah,
He's
I will.
a big guy. He's an imposing guy.
A lot of people in the chat are saying, they appreciate your take on Patrick Mahomes, but they think that the Buffalo quarterback, who I'm having a brain cramp.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen will win the MVP.
I think he will win the MVP, but I'm going to tell you right now, I got a funny feeling that when the playoffs start, why do I think Kansas City's going to be there at the end? I mean, they don't. All I keep hearing is they're not that good, and they're 11-1 because of one man. He's Jordan. He's the NFL's Jordan. When he walks through that tunnel, comes out, the opposing players go, "Oh shit!" Okay, and he plays the best football in the 4th quarter. So that's it for anything goes. So now,
Josh Allen, by the way, is 240 pounds. Woohoo! We got a big.
I heard he had a pizza. I heard he had a pizza the other night. 241. No, but okay. At that weight, even I think he's heavier than that. But that's listed. Like Charles Barkley was listed at 6'6" and he's 6'4".
Exactly.
But he's still 25 pounds heavier. Okay, the Browns versus Broncos. This is an easy one, folks. It's going to be Denver and Browns. I'm taking the Browns plus the 6. Oh, by the way, last week I was 1-1, which leaves me at a record right now at 13-7. Okay, no, 13-8. Sorry, 13-8. So now I'm going with the Browns, and I'm going with the over 42.
42 and the Browns tonight. It's the Broncos and Browns. Your guy Nix is playing pretty good. Is he going to throw a couple touchdown passes?
Let me tell you this, Aldo, because of coaching, Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Okay? You look at who coaches these guys. Bo Nix, I saw him at SEC. The best thing that he got out of there, because they are a tough football conference, went to Pac-12, found out what life was like not to have a pass rush on them, not to have Alabama guys chasing them or Mississippi State guys. I'm going to get your ass, Now they're like this, and they're like this when they play defense in the West Coast. You know, he's got time. You know, like Caleb. So good time for this.
I love it. By the way,
I'm not going to get aggravated anymore. Are you?
No, I'm not.
Except on Sundays when we put out our videos.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say I'm not because I got a new bottle of whiskey as a gift, and so it might overtake my emotions.
Oh, attaboy.
Mike, any last words before we pull the plug on this episode, which, by the way, has been one of the more entertaining episodes ever on the Barroom Network.
Yeah,
great job.
Thank you. And you too. I don't have anything else to add. I think the Bears are a joke of a franchise right now. I think the only thing saving them are the Giants and the Jets. And, I just want to say that, everybody makes bad calls. Like even the guys in New York, okay? They all make bad calls, but I would like them next year to concentrate on their own backyard because you got two teams, okay? We know what it's like to have two baseball teams that suck. You got two football teams that can't get out of their own way, so let us handle the Bears, and the media's got to get a little tougher with the Bears.
Indeed. Yeah. Hey, everyone watching on YouTube or X or Facebook or Twitch, Raul Jewelers' phone number and website is coming up on the screen. Thank you, Raul Jewelers. Thank you, Mike North. You are the absolute best. And thank you to the thousands who joined us live. Take care, everybody.